Hi guys, in this video we will learn that what is V model, how Vue model works and why we use this V model. So let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to give you an example using the vanilla JavaScript, that how we can achieve this in the vanilla JavaScript, and then we will learn that how you can achieve that in the Vue.js, right? So basically we are going to get the value from an input and then display this here in our web browser, right? So if I give it a refresh, so it's getting my value here. If I say that change, so it's getting the value from here and printing that value here, right? So how we can achieve that in the Vue.js, not Vue.js, in the JavaScript? Okay, first we need to create an input and assign an ID, right? So from that ID we will pull its value, and then we need to create another tag, and then we need to pass the output message ID, right? And here we are setting its default value, and then here we are getting that value from an input and then getting that output message tag here, and then we are setting the value, we are setting the initial value, and then setting the message here. When someone is changing here in the input, we added an event listener. It's listening that if someone is changing the input, it's getting the input value and saving this into the message variable, and then passing this message variable to this text content, which is this applying this to this output, and then it's outputting this message something like this. If I give it a refresh, you can see this. If I'm changing something, so it's appearing it here. So what we are doing here, we have an input, we are getting the value, passing this to the JS, then we are appending that value here, right? So we need to do a lot of work, right, to get the value from the input. But in the Vue.js it's very simple, we don't need to do much things, right? So now let's comment this out and follow the Vue.js way how to do that. Okay, I have commented that, and then I have a Vue simple instance here, so I'm going to uncomment that. Okay, the pretty basic example, we are covering this with the step-by-step guide. Here I have passed an empty input, and then your message is something, and then there is nothing, right? I have just initialized my Vue.js, okay, and empty input, then no message, right? So now how to get the message from the Vue.js? So first I'm going to set the default message. So in the Vue.js, when you want to set any of the variable, you need to pass this into the return property. I'm going to say default message, something like this, right? It's a default message. And now if I want to display this here, how I need to call this? I need to call this in the double braces and then call this same variable name here. If I go here and let's get refreshed, we can see this, my default message is appearing it here. So now how can I get the value from that input and display it here? So for that purposes, we need to link that value, link that message with that input. So for that purposes, we use V model directive, and here in the V model we will pass this message variable, right? I'm going to pass this without message sign. I have passed this message, and now what Vue will do here, Vue will doing two-way binding. It's listening the values and then updating and getting the values and updating it into the into this basically input, right? If I go here and get refreshed, so I have get this same message in the input and in the below para. Refresh, and you can see this one is the same message as I'm getting it here, because I have initialized it here and then passing them to the V model and this message. But what magic Vue has is that if someone is changing the value, you don't need to get it using the DOM and then pass this to the JS and then manipulate that value and append that. Vue is doing two-way binding. It automatically getting the value, listening the value, listening and then appending that value automatically. If I am changing it in the JS2, okay, if I say here I am change, so you can see this, it's changing it here and here too. Why? Because if you are changing the value here in the message variable, it will be automatically changed in all of the places, even it's in the DOM or if it's in the Vue instances, right? So you don't need to manually change that value, it will be automatically reflected. So that's the beauty of this Vue.js. You don't need to do a lot of work, you need to just change it and this will be changed. So this is the magic of Vue.js. I hope that will add great value into your career, because in JS it's very hard to do that, right? And for more, you can also add here the length of that, something like message dot length. Let's get refreshed. So you can see this, it's a 15, and if I choose this updated version, you can see this, now it's displaying its length too, right? It's overall string length. This is the way how Vue model works, and if you want to learn more about the Vue.js, subscribe to the channel and watch the next video where I'm going to cover step-by-step guide. Bye bye.